Welcome back to Narrative Network. Imagine this. A young boy walks into a barbershop with his dad, just looking for a simple haircut. But instead of a warm welcome, the barber refuses to serve him, just because of the color of his skin. What this barber doesn't realize is that this boy isn't just anyone, and the twist that follows will leave you speechless. Stay tuned until the end, because this story takes an unexpected turn that will remind us all of the power of kindness and the possibility of change. If you love stories that challenge prejudice and celebrate resilience, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more inspiring content like this. Let's dive into this incredible journey. It was a sunny Saturday morning in Millwood, a small town where everyone seemed to know each other. Little Jameer, a cheerful 8-year-old black boy, was excited because today he was going to get a haircut with his dad. Jameer had been begging for a new style he'd seen on TV, and his dad, Marcus Evans, had promised to take him to the new barber in town, who had a reputation for giving sharp, stylish cuts. Marcus was a well-respected man in town, a successful lawyer who had moved back to his hometown to serve his community. Despite the whispers and occasional stares from a few townsfolk who weren't used to seeing a black man in a position of power, Marcus didn't let anything faze him. He had worked hard to get where he was, and his main focus was to provide a good life for his family, especially his son Jameer, who meant the world to him. As they walked toward the barbershop, Jameer bounced along beside his father, filled with excitement. "Dad, do you think I can get a cool design on the side of my head?" he asked, looking up at Marcus with wide eyes. Marcus chuckled and patted his son's shoulder. "Sure thing, champ. Let's see what this new barber can do." When they reached the shop, Marcus held the door open for Jameer, who ran in eagerly. The barbershop, called Tom's Cuts, was bustling, with the hum of clippers, chatter, and the smell of aftershave in the air. Behind one of the chairs stood Tom Lawson, the owner and barber, who was known around town as a bit of a grump but skilled at his trade. Marcus and Jameer waited patiently for their turn. When Tom finally noticed them, his friendly expression faded. He looked at Marcus and Jameer, then scowled as he turned his attention back to his clippers, pretending he hadn't seen them. After a few more minutes, Marcus approached Tom's chair, gently resting a hand on Jameer's shoulder. "Hey there, we're here for a cut. My son Jameer would like something with a design on the side, if you can manage." Tom glanced at Marcus and then looked down at Jameer. His expression was tight, his body language standoffish. He hesitated, the air around them growing tense, before finally speaking in a cold, dismissive tone. "I don't cut their kind of hair," he muttered, refusing to look Marcus in the eye. Marcus's face hardened, but he stayed calm. "Excuse me? My son just wants a haircut, and we heard you're one of the best in town." Tom crossed his arms, his lips set in a thin line. "I don't cut black people's hair," he said bluntly, loud enough for others in the shop to hear. A hush fell over the room as the other patrons looked on, some in shock, others shifting uncomfortably. Jameer's eyes widened, and he looked up at his father, confused and hurt. Marcus took a deep breath, keeping his voice steady. He knelt down beside Jameer, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, son. We'll find someone else who respects everyone," he said gently, his voice calm yet firm. But inside, Marcus's heart ached for his son, who was learning a painful lesson about prejudice in the most unexpected of places. They turned to leave, but as they reached the door, one of the other barbers in the shop, a younger man named Carlos, spoke up. "Hey, I'll cut his hair. You don't need to listen to this old fool." Tom shot Carlos a glare, but Carlos ignored him, motioning for Marcus and Jameer to sit in his chair. Grateful, Marcus nodded and guided Jameer over to Carlos, who gave the boy a reassuring smile. Carlos treated Jameer with respect, chatting with him and making him laugh as he skillfully worked on his hair. Marcus watched as his son's hurt and confusion melted away, replaced by happiness and excitement over his new haircut. When the cut was done, Carlos spun Jamir around to face the mirror. Jamir beamed at his reflection, admiring the design Carlos had added on the side, just like he'd wanted. Marcus thanked Carlos warmly, tipping him generously before they left. Outside, Marcus knelt down to speak to Jamir, wanting to make sure his son understood what had just happened. "Jamir, listen to me," Marcus began. "What happened in there wasn't right, and it's not your fault. Some people have ideas in their head that aren't true, ideas about others just because of the color of their skin, but that doesn't define you. You're an amazing, smart, and kind young man, and that's all that matters." Jamir nodded, his eyes filled with understanding and a hint of sadness. "Why do some people have to be mean, Dad?" Marcus sighed, struggling to find the right words. "Sometimes people are afraid of things they don't understand, and instead of learning, they choose to be unkind. But remember, you always have the choice to treat others with respect and kindness, no matter how they treat you." Jamir hugged his father tightly, and Marcus held him, vowing silently to make sure his son never felt lesser because of other people's ignorance. Word of Tom's refusal to serve Jamir spread quickly through town. Millwood wasn't a large place, and news traveled fast. Many of the residents were shocked and disappointed. They hadn't known Tom to be overtly racist, but his actions left little room for doubt. People began to question whether they wanted to continue supporting a business run by someone with such outdated and hurtful beliefs. In the following days, Marcus received calls from neighbors, friends, and even strangers who had heard what had happened. Some offered their support, while others shared similar stories of subtle and not so subtle discrimination they had faced in town. Determined to turn this negative experience into a positive one, Marcus decided to take action. He organized a community event focused on celebrating diversity and inclusion, aiming to bring people together and educate them about the value of respecting one another, regardless of race or background. He called it Unity in Millwood. The event quickly gained traction. Local businesses, schools, MCEs, and even city officials pledged their support, eager to show that Millwood was a place where everyone was welcome. The event featured food, music, and activities from various cultures, and Marcus arranged for guest speakers to share their stories of resilience and overcoming prejudice. On the day of the event, the town square was filled with people of all ages, races, and backgrounds, coming together in a spirit of unity. Jamir and other children ran around, laughing and playing, while adults mingled and enjoyed the festivities. It was a beautiful display of the town's diversity, and Marcus couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Despite the positive atmosphere, Tom watched the event from a distance, a scowl on his face. He saw his regular customers mingling with people he had never taken the time to understand, and he felt a pang of resentment. He couldn't understand why everyone was making such a big deal over what he says a simple matter of preference. But as he observed the joy and camaraderie among the townsfolk, something began to stir within him, a small, uncomfortable realization that maybe, just maybe, he had been wrong. A few days after the event, Tom noticed that business at his barbershop had started to slow. Regular customers were skipping their usual appointments, and the shop felt emptier than usual. The few customers who did come in avoided eye contact, their interactions with him noticeably colder. Rumors spread that several other barbers in town were gaining new clients, many of whom had previously been loyal to Tom. One afternoon, as he then sat alone in his shop, Carlos approached him. "People aren't coming in because they're not happy with how you treated that kid," Carlos said, crossing his arms. "Millwood isn't the same town it was 50 years ago. People want to see respect, not hate." Tom bristled, defensive. "It's my shop, Carlos. I can choose who I want to serve." Carlos shook his head, disappointed. "You're missing the point. It's not about who you choose to serve. It's about how you treat people. That boy just wanted a haircut, and you treated him like he wasn't worth the time. And now you're paying the price for it." Carlos walked out, leaving Tom to sit alone with his thoughts. As the hours passed, Tom found himself reflecting on what Carlos had said. He remembered the look on Jameer's face, the hurt and confusion, and he felt a twinge of guilt. Maybe Carlos was right. Maybe he had been too quick to judge, holding on to beliefs that had no place in the world anymore. The next day, Tom waited in his shop, nervous and fidgety. He was used to the confidence of running his own business, but today was different. When Marcus and Jameer walked in, Tom took a deep breath, determined to make things right. As Jameer sat in the barber chair, Tom draped the cape around him gently, his hands a little shaky. He picked up his clippers and asked Jameer, "So, what kind of style are we going for today?" Jameer's eyes lit up, and he described the same design he'd wanted that first day, a bold cut with a star on the side. Tom listened attentively, nodding as he set to work. He cut carefully, giving Jameer the full attention and respect he deserved, making sure each line and edge was precise. As he worked, Tom and Jameer chatted. Tom asked him about school, his favorite sports, and his dreams. The conversation flowed naturally, and Tom found himself surprised by how easy it was to connect with Jameer. He was just a boy, full of energy and dreams, no different from any other child who had sat in his chair. By the time the haircut was done, Jameer was grinning from ear to ear, admiring his reflection in the mirror. Tom felt a surprising sense of pride. Pride not just in the haircut, but in the opportunity to make amends. "It looks awesome," Jameer said, hopping out of the chair. "Thank you, Jameer," Tom replied, his voice full of sincerity. "Thank you for giving me a chance to fix my mistake." Word of Tom's change of heart spread quickly through town. People who had heard about his initial refusal were also hearing about his apology, his attempt to make amends, and the way he had treated Jameer with kindness and respect. Tom's barbershop, which had suffered from the community's backlash, slowly began to see more customers. But it wasn't just about regaining business. It was about the transformation Tom was going through. He started to engage with people from all backgrounds, opening himself up into the diversity of his community that he had previously ignored. He even began volunteering at the community center, where he taught free barbering skills to young people, some of whom were kids just like Jameer. Tom became a regular at Marcus's Unity in Millwood events, often offering free haircuts to attendees. He joined discussions, listened to speakers, and learned about experiences he had never taken the time to understand. He began to see his town with fresh eyes, realizing that the different backgrounds, cultures, and perspectives made it richer and more beautiful. Years passed, and Jameer grew into a confident young man. He often visited Tom's shop, becoming something of a regular. Every time he sat in that chair, he saw the man who had once hurt him, but had also taken responsibility, changed, and become a better person. Tom became a kind of mentor to Jameer, and the two shared many conversations about life, dreams, and resilience. Jameer never forgot that first experience with Tom, but he also learned the importance of forgiveness, of giving people a chance to change. As Jameer prepared to leave for college, where he planned to study civil rights law like his father, he stopped by Tom's shop for one last cut before leaving town. Sitting in the chair, he looked at Tom in the mirror, smiling. "You know, I never thought we'd be friends after what happened that first day," he said. Tom chuckled, running the clippers through Jameer's hair. "Neither did I, but you taught me a lesson, Jameer, a lesson I'll never forget." They shared a quiet moment of gratitude, knowing that their paths had crossed for a reason. Jameer's journey had inspired change in Tom, and Tom's transformation had shown Jameer the power of forgiveness and growth. Years later, when Jameer became a respected lawyer and advocate for social justice, he often spoke about the importance of compassion, understanding, and the power of giving people a chance to change. He would tell his story of the barber who had once refused to serve him. and how that same man had become a friend and mentor, a symbol of growth and reconciliation. Meanwhile, in Millwood, Tom continued to run his barbershop, but it was now known as a welcoming place for everyone. His journey of change became a story that locals would tell, a reminder that it's never too late to learn, grow, and treat people with the respect they deserve. The little boy who had been refused a haircut had unknowingly sparked a transformation, not just in Tom, but in the entire town of Millwood. Through the bond they shared, Jameer and Tom showed their community that kindness, understanding, and forgiveness could break down even the deepest divides, turning prejudice into a lesson of compassion. And in the end, their story became a beacon of hope and change for everyone who heard it, proving that one act of kindness, one moment of forgiveness, could change lives forever. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more exciting content just like this. We have plenty of inspiring stories lined up that you won't want to miss. And if you found this story meaningful, share it with your friends to spread the message of kindness and unity. Together, we can make a difference. See you in the next video.